What?
Can Kevin pray? Can
Yeah,
Kevin pray? Can you hit
I
us with a
love
quick one?
prayer. I love prayer.
Oh, Kevin want to pray?
Kevin,
You want to
give
pray?
us-
Come on,
Kevin,
Kevin,
give
say a
us a
prayer.
quick
Say a
one.
prayer.
Yeah, let's
Say a
get
prayer,
us
Kevin.
right.
Come on. Say a prayer. Oh, this dude is praying too? Oh, my God, man.
That's who warrior for us.
Accomplish purpose of this podcast. We thank you for this time that you've given us. And we thank you, Lord, for bringing us through so much. Allow us to talk about it that it will help someone, Lord, in their time of need. We thank you, Lord, for going before us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right.
Get it.
Nick! Music!
Oh, why y'all do that?
Because of
Why y'all do
Hatfield.
Y'all guys coming on the pod?
Because of Hatfield.
What?
Yeah.
Business number 5.
I get it now.
Y'all know what on my list?
Should be.
This is my
That a
number
fact.
1. I'm going to throw G Herder on that top 6.
Well, you got to show your son some love.
Yeah. I'm messing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to Daddy's Podcast. We
Man.
back.
Oh, my
Welcome,
goodness.
welcome.
Yes. I got my man Pup with me. You
Yes,
came
sir.
back with me. It's our third
I'm
one
here.
together, man.
I'm here, man.
I'm
here.
liking the chemistry, man. Let's
here,
keep it
man.
going.
I'm here.
My
I'm
man.
here.
Got my
I'm
man
here,
Pup
Let's
here
get
with
it,
me.
baby.
You know
Let's
what it
get
is.
it. Let's
On the
get it.
other side, Pup, we got a woman on Daddy's podcast, man.
Listen.
We got a woman
Man.
come sit on the blue seat.
Listen,
Not
I'm
just,
honored.
not just a
I'm honored.
woman, not
I'm
just
honored.
any woman. We
Okay.
got Rita.
Oh, my
You know,
goodness.
this woman here is, man, she is filled with all kind of surprises, man.
I like
all
that.
kind of
Uh-oh.
surprises.
That makes for a good podcast.
Oh my God.
That makes for a good
man.
podcast. Miss Hareder McDowell, welcome to Daddy's
Thank you
podcast.
so much.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much for
coming
having
on.
me.
Woo!
Listen. Yes.
Oh, Miss Rita. Where do I start? Miss Rita, she is a author,
Yep.
a professor.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Come here with it. The assistant
City.
city of Chicago treasurer.
The assistant
Man.
city treasurer of the best
Consultant of
city in the world.
CPS schools. Best city in the
Yes,
world.
best city in the world.
Oh,
Best
here
city
we
in
go.
the
Best
world.
city in the
Yes.
world. Shout out Southside. Wow,
Absolutely,
Be
absolutely.
specific. That is. CPS consultant.
Yep, partner with them. Absolutely.
Yeah. Intimacy coach.
Listen, that wraps it in a cool little bow.
Oh boy, intimacy coach.
There we go. And a philanthropist.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That is
Giving-
great.
Giving back is the
Philanthropist.
best part of it.
Damn, man,
Yep.
that's a real philanthropist in the house.
I want to give her a round of applause.
That's sweet. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank
Give
you.
this
thank
woman
you.
her props, man.
Yeah,
Give this
definitely.
sister
That's
her
what we gonna
props,
do.
you know
I
what I'm saying?
appreciate that.
And all of those that you do, Rita, I am so proud of you. Would you just like to shout out just one or two of those things and how that came to be? And I think I got a second question for
Okay.
you, but no, okay, so let me say it before I may forget. The second question is all these multiple streams of income.
Okay.
Phew.
Why is that important? So I'm just gonna start on the first one. The first one is, just shout out a couple of those.
I think I'll first shout out the philanthropy because we're going into the holiday season. A lot of people are in a giving back type of spirit. And my nonprofit, Pretty Ink., which specializes in how Black women communicate to sex and identity with their mothers, we have the opportunity to take that internationally, and we'll be working with the Marley School in St. Anne Parish, and we got about 1,000 girls that we're trying to talk to this December 8th, and taking them reproductive health kits and explaining hygiene to them because we got something going on. It's an HIV and AIDS epidemic going on in their early high school girls. So we're going down there to help them out and hang out and have conversations that I'm free to have in this country based on how I was raised, but some of the things I may say to them, they may have heard it for the first time. So I'm starting with the philanthropy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of things you say they didn't heard for the first time because philanthropy, my sister.
No, I don't think some of them haven't. I think that's the most interesting thing about all of my research is the assumption of sexual intelligence, right? And the idea that when you had a conversation to be educated completely about sex and sexual health. Most people, it's a trial and error, and your error in your sexual decisions can sometimes end your life or put you on a completely different path. So if we can have a conversation, we can prevent a lot of things. So the hashtag for my company is we are the prevention to the prescription.
Damn,
Wow.
we need more sisters like this, man.
Yeah,
We need more
tryna- we
sisters
tryna
like
grow
this.
'em out the ground.
Dog, you growing them.
That's
You
our
growing them,
goal.
sister. You growing them, man.
Yeah.
You is definitely growing them, man.
And
Straight off the south side of Chicago.
Out the yes.
Straight out the
What they say,
south
the
side.
10 tray,
Wow.
right?
10 tray. 10 tray, baby.
And I'm sitting over here just listening.
Yeah.
And I know where this came from. Wow, that is so awesome. I'm so
Good
proud
roots.
of you.
Yeah.
Good roots. Great
We've been
roots.
knowing
Great
Rita,
roots.
man, since, oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Look, man,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
girl, man. Them is
Super
for a
single
long
digits.
time.
Yep.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
And just everything that you accomplishing and just moving forward with
Thank you.
dope.
And I know you said pretty. Does pretty stand for anything?
Yes, it's an acronym for positive, responsible, educated, talented, truthful young women.
Look at that there. Say it again. Say that one more time.
Positive, respectful, educated, talented, truthful, young. I mean, because that's the best part about being black.
How did you
we
come
so
up with that?
ageless.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody, no matter who you are, even being, genderless, you want to feel pretty. Everything about the word makes you feel good. You never hear it too many times. You never have a moment where you don't want to be a pretty girl, right? So to say that you don't, you're lying. Everybody want to be that,
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you can instill that type of confidence where you determine if you're the pretty girl, and then you become her.
Wow. That's awesome. Because pretty looks so many different ways.
It's the
not one
confidence
way
that
of
says it's
pretty
so.
to look. You say
Abs-
pretty is
it's-
what?
It's the confidence that says that this is so. When people say, well, how is he with her or how is she with him? He knows what he is and he attracts that. So I don't know what you see.
Right. Energy is everything.
It is.
Energy is everything. It's your energy. Energy is everything. So yes, that's man, that's dope.
That's
Rita.
good stuff.
That's good.
You said something about multiple streams.
Yeah, but before we get to that, something popped in my head while I was over here. Something popped in my head as I was over here. The assistant
City treasurer.
treasurer.
Yes.
Yeah, explain that. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, explain. What is that about?
So our city treasurer, Melissa Conyers Irwin, a black woman, a black Greek woman, she's a Sigma Gamma Rho.
Power to the sisters.
She has been obeying an ordinance that has always required the treasurer to pool some of taxpayer dollars for community advocacy and financial literacy. So she decided to bring on the first community psychologist, which is me, to assist her with how to allocate those funds. What do we need to do to provide financial literacy to the hoods that you're from, to the communities that you've been to? So how do we serve all 77 communities where we have an awareness of what the treasurer's office does, and we serve as the liaison for the community to know where to get the money?
Wow.
So no, we're not going to give it to you, but we will absolutely provide you all the tools you need to go get it yourself.
Wow. I didn't know they had those type of resources.
Yeah,
Just
so
being honest, I
we-
didn't know that.
And that's what she's doing, right? She's allowing myself and my team to have extensive social media presence. So we're on social media every single day. We have a dynamic social media director. So if you follow Chicago Treasurer, everything is there. We just had a 2-day conference at UIC Forum where we brought out companies that were hiring and looking for 2,000 people. We had 3,000 registrants. We had free headshots on site. We gave you breakfast and dinner. We had, Ambassador Andrew Young. We had Magic Johnson as our keynote speaker. And it was
Saw that.
free.
I saw that.
Man.
So we had wealthy people sharing their wealth stories while you had separate workshops about how to do business with the city. The Department of Aviation just did a concessionaires conference where you can come in and see how your product can be in our aviation space. So it's really about you going to get the information. Chicago is very tech savvy. Many people don't visit the City of Chicago website until they're trying to pay a ticket or a bill. But if you click some of the other tabs, it's a lot of information and a wealth of resources for you to go and get. So when people say, well, are you going to give us money? I was like, no, but you can go get it.
Right. You gotta read. You gotta look up. You
Yeah.
gotta look this stuff up. So yeah. Go ahead, man.
Hey, that leads me to my next question for real, because I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah.
How do we get money to the hood? How do we get money to the south side of Chicago? And what makes me think of that is I work like on the west side, near the West Loop area, the near west side. Shout out Whitney Young High School, go Dolphins.
Absolutely. What's up, Ricky?
Definitely, you know it. Principal Harris.
Yeah,
that's my
Principal
man.
Harris, I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely, that's my man. But when I go to work, I see cranes everywhere, Rita.
Okay.
I see cranes, things being built, buildings being built,
Right.
condos being built, just all type of entrepreneurship.
Right.
And residents going on. But when I come back home,
Mm-hmm.
Southside Chicago, not one crane, not no.
Yeah, they
really
all
nothing
downtown.
really being
Mm-hmm.
built.
They all downtown.
And
but
I
they
see
ain't
the
building nothing out south,
difference.
really.
So
yeah.
you know, what is it? Do you see anything that helps the money generate to this area and not generate to? I'm gonna talk about specifically where I am, Southside
Yeah.
Chicago.
I think it's truly unfortunate as it relates to a lot of the things that aren't being built on the South Side. Like I said, born and raised on the South Side, and the treasurer is from the West Side. But when it comes to development, when it comes to money that we need to pull in to keep ourselves as number 3, to keep getting returns on our investments, like our city invests every single day, all day. And we just completed our budget meetings where we got a 3.5% return to remain one of the heavy hitters of the country, right? So when you're thinking about that, when you're thinking about McDonald's universities coming here, Google coming here, a lot of the different industries that are building here, they have to build where they can make money. They have to build where we have tourists coming in. So where it's definitely a position where it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, because we have to pay the bills for the taxpayers. We have to make sure that we have all of these city programs for our students. We have to make sure we have the amazing park districts. We have to make sure we have the clean water. We have to make sure we have the luxuries that you have being able to live and thrive in the 3rd largest city in the country. So while we would love to believe that we could put somebody that's big in industry on 119th and Halsted, we honestly can't tell you that there won't be exactly what's there. So I don't know how to guarantee your returns with facts being facts.
Okay.
And it's not for things that are always being done to us. It's things that we're doing to ourselves. I lived off 100th, and I watched people throw McDonald's bags out of the window. So I hold us accountable,
Man.
you know, as
That's
well.
a pet peeve. That's such a pet peeve.
You sound
I'm
like
so
you sound like my wife. I would throw
No,
stuff out.
wait
She'd
till
be
we
mad
get
as hell.
home.
Why
Yeah,
would you do
yeah.
that? She would just go
But-
off. Yeah. So.
But I do want to shout out the Discover Center, Discover Credit Company. They took over the Target at 87 to Cottage Grove.
Oh, okay,
And
good.
they are in the process of hiring 8,000 people from the community. They've taken on the Silicon Valley model. Their employees get free breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have a meditation space. They have a psychologist on site. They have an event space specifically for nonprofit free usage.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, so Discover is showing up. So people
Awesome.
on the
Shout
south
out,
side
shout
are
out to
advocating.
Discover.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Shout
So
out.
how do you get the word out for these people to know that all this is going on?
And to get the word out, I like to give that back, right? Because
Okay.
if we're telling you that we have all the social media platforms, we have websites, we have press conferences, we have an open invitation to City Hall, we have schedules on bus stops, we put things on billboards, we spend millions of dollars to market to citizens that read
Okay.
not.
Okay.
So what do we need? Word of mouth. We need things like this. We need community advocates. We need community leaders. We need organizations, Black Greek letter organizations. Connect with your people and repost our stuff. Disseminate the stuff on your chapter pages, on your affiliate pages, because that's how Black people move. Somebody got to tell you that they mess with, bro. And the treasurer's office just so happened to be bro.
Okay.
Just so happen to be what?
Bro.
Just so
Bro,
happen to be
that be
bro.
Or
bro.
sis. Let me shout out. It's women.
But seriously, I hope you all heard her. Rita, thank you for sharing that knowledge. 'Cause
Man.
knowledge
Absolutely.
is so
That's a
so
lot of
important.
important
Absolutely.
information.
Yeah.
with you.
Yeah.
A lot of jewels this
Definitely.
woman just dropped.
Definitely.
That's a
My
lot of
pleasure.
jewels,
If
man.
anyone have any questions for her, please reach out to me.
Absolutely.
And I definitely.
Yeah.
Great job, Rita.
Thank you so
Sister
much.
got a lot to say, boy. She
So
got a
with you
lot
being the assistant, like we said,
Yeah.
treasurer, city of Chicago, the
Yeah.
philanthropist, the 7 streams of income. I know we talked about
Right.
that a lot.
Yeah.
How do you make that? What's your vision? How do you make that happen? And why do you think that is so important to have?
So I had the opportunity, you know, my mother put me in space where I could get information from visionaries, right? So my first time seeing Ayanna Von Zant speak, I was a guest on the Oprah show, and I was in elementary school. You know, Les Brown did my brother's funeral. They had
Remember that.
a relationship with
Yes.
our minister, the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman. The very first time I saw Senator Barack Obama speak, I went to church. The very first time I saw, Michael Jordan's mother speak on Raising a King, I was at church. So I was exposed to people that had a lot of forward thinking. And what I remembered a lot from Les Brown was, the money will find your passion. You have to do what you would already do for free to understand your purpose.
Yes.
So I was on a search for purpose.
Wow.
I think at a very young age. It was a privilege that I didn't even recognize that I was being given. And then when you kind of figure out what it is you already do for free, and then you manifest and match that with your thinking and how you move. I've always been this. I've always moved like this, and the money is catching up to who I've always been.
That's the best way to do it.
Man,
That is the best way to do it.
the best way.
You feel like it's not, you don't feel like you working.
Not at all.
And you know what? Because I went through that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
I have been part of things, and it's like money became like an important issue of it. But when I started it, it was just something out of just a love, just a passion,
Right.
you know, that I want better for the community, or just being in a spot feeling like I'm in the spot of, you know, my kids. Shout out to my sons. But, you know, right now, give me a chance to be with Greg. It's just a passion, you know.
And then it turns into like this octopus with multiple legs, right? So if my purpose is to be the prevention to the prescription, to research Black women and sexuality and reproductive health, so many monikers can fall under that, excuse me, that become businesses. So there's a book. There's my book that's on, you know, Amazon's top 21 books for Black women, Sex and the Lies Our Mothers Told Us. That's one stream. And then
Southside of Chicago.
They got books, man. Oh, my God.
99th and Morgan.
yes, 2 houses. The God knew I needed 2 homes.
Oh,
on
we
the
gonna
same-
get to that one. We gonna get to that.
We're going to definitely get to that one.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you know, we got that. And then when I think about, you know, what can provide me with substantial benefits, you know, I'm a woman, I need good health care, right? So if we're thinking about where the market is going, I have to add to the entrepreneurial endeavors that also provide me with the stipend that my board votes on. So that's the, you know, the philanthropy piece. But then I'm able to do the same philanthropy that I've always done, whether with the sorority or within my nonprofit. I'm taking that same passion into the city that I was born in, building all this other stuff.
Chicago.
Yeah. So it's really much, it's pretty much the same thing. And then any digital media advertising is things that I was gonna say anyway. There's a conversation we would have had anyway. You know, so now my life and my work is all wrapped in one. The Jamaica piece, my whole family is going with me.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
you know,
man.
it's like
Yeah, dog.
we're
That's
going to
heavy,
Jamaica
dog.
to do work, but you know.
But you gonna
But
party
the
in
family
Jamaica,
gonna
you
be
know what
with
I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's dope, man.
Chicago,
That's-
lucky to have you.
Man.
Yeah, we lucky
Oh,
to have
man.
you.
It's
This
my
woman
pleasure.
here is a gift.
Definitely.
It's my
It's
pleasure.
a gift, man.
You spoke about all of these people that was inspirations to you.
Right.
What about some of your primary inspirations? Who were some of those people from the inside that
Yeah.
saw you, you know?
So I think I'm gonna do that twofold. So
Okay.
I do study millionaire Black women. So to know about the streams, the Les Brown conversation gave me purpose. All of that, those early formidable years, they were influenced.
Oh, okay.
But the people that
Yeah.
are putting it into practice, you know, Monique Rodriguez with Mayel Organics, you know, understanding her business model, understanding how she is a nurse and a woman, a Black woman in STEM that created a product, but also had all the business acumen to have the product on shelves long enough to gain a certain amount of popularity, to then flip the deal and make one of the biggest, freest deals with Berkshire Partners, putting her at the top of the Forbes list. So that has now put her in networks with, you know, the Carters and the Obamas. So now she's in spaces where she can make the calls that she needs to make. It's bigger than money, right? So you want to get there. I'm studying how they're moving. Of course, studying Beyonce as a billionaire because they're also wives and mothers, and they've somehow been able to keep it all, and then they are very, very, very in love with their husbands as like equals.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I read about everything that they do, and you know, we have models. I'm blessed to have models. Like there were generations with no models, but I have, you know, Oprah Winfrey and Ava DuVernay and Shonda. I have people to read about and follow.
Yeah, that's tough there. Yeah, that's dope, man. How many books do you have? Like, how many books do you have? Like,
I have one published book, and I was asked to be one of the 1,000 authors of the first encyclopedia of sex.
here this woman go with sex. Come on, okay, go ahead.
Okay, you know what? So for my son's platform, I like to shout out fathers, right?
Absolutely.
Do you have any fathers that you would like to shout out? You know,
I was blessed with so many figures. I absolutely. I have an amazing birth father, Tracy Jackson. I think his
The master.
the master.
The master. They don't know what that. A lot of people don't know what that means. But go ahead. The master.
And my dad commands the space. There is no lack of awareness that he has arrived, and that gives me power, right? Because there's no lack of awareness that I've arrived, and that's very much the Tracy. If I think it and I want to say it, it comes out of my mouth. Yeah. I've learned different methods of filtering, but that first thought that comes out of my dad's mouth is usually the one that I'm probably having too.
He was very open with you.
Yeah.
He's very open with you.
Yeah.
That's
and still is. I think, if people hear us in conversation and it was like a microphone on the wall, it would be like, oh my God, he talks to his daughter like that. And it's almost like he couldn't wait for me to get grown enough for him to talk like that.
Right.
I had amazing brothers that serve as figures, because my father had a full life of his own, so a lot of voids had to be filled. And I'm glad everybody was always there to stand in whatever gap, so I didn't lack positive masculinity, right? And my grandfather is a man's man, Thomas LeBron Jackson, I think the man's man of Morgan, and, Thomas, to have two grandfathers with that Thomas name, I was like, man, I was lucky, right? Yeah. So just shouting out my spirit angel, Kenneth Davison. I got him early in life to kind of cover me. And twin, my brother is sitting right here now, divinely so.
What up, Mike? I see you out there.
Absolutely.
11119.
There they go.
There he is.
All
There he
alphas
is.
too are father figures, but I then all of them handed me to my husband. The ultimate masculine figure in my life now. So, yeah.
Shout out to Mike.
Awesome.
Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mr.
Shout out
Mac.
to Mike. That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's dope, man. It's good.
So I got to go back to your daddy.
Oh, we gotta go back
Your
to
daddy awesome to me, right?
Listen.
He commands the room.
Yes.
The master.
He
He's
says
the,
what he don't say.
the
baby.
funniest, probably.
He is definitely a man of many different personalities and a lot of
Listen.
character with that man, boy.
It is. I love, I think anybody that's a girl dad understands, like, developing this language with your daughter.
Yeah.
Like, me and my dad shit talk, me understanding what level of drunk he at versus what time of day it is, what type he drank, if who he was with, helps me determine what I want to be bothered with. But his authenticity is the gift, right? You don't meet a lot of people who love themselves as much as my father loves himself at his best, at his worst, at his lowest.
Man.
You can't tell him he ain't the master.
He always
You
the same.
cannot boy them Jacksons
He
or
always
something
the
else.
same.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how I greet when I walk up to him. I say, Jackson, I swear to God. And, that's how I pitch
Shout
and
out to
everything. That's how I
ETL,
greet
Jack.
right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But your daddy
tell me.
saw a pretty lady next door.
Next door.
Oh, my goodness.
Next
So
door.
pretty.
Right
Miss
next
Sharon,
door.
so pretty. Shout out to
Oh,
Miss
the
Sharon.
parental love stories.
Man. And now your grandparents, your
Listen.
parents,
Live right next door. to
stay
each other.
right next door to each other. My question to you is, was that advantageous? How was that for you, your parents and grandparents living right next door? You had all of that right there.
I can't even explain how privileged it was. I have a lot of sympathy for people who are born with no elders because your journey is going to be different. I had direction. I had instruction. I had cooked food. I had religion. I had structure, and I was given these things from so many different perspectives. I got the street right outside if I wanted. They let me get close enough to watch and kind of navigate, come back, talk to them. I'm in the kitchen because that's mandatory. So you got the elders, understanding the earth, understanding no fast food unless you got on the honor roll. I got outside playing, so I got physical activity. But then I also have like a grandfather that protects me from as many things as he can. And then I could kind of hop back over here and got this giant Margaret Coleman who's just like the Don.
Shout out Brandy.
And getting an understanding of what it looks like for her to have raised all these soldiers, right? Because my house is the house, or the other house is my house, right? So the running in and out of characters, the running in and out of conversations I'm privy to, backyard moments, alley moments, Curb Talks. I'm just a sponge
Yeah.
of
there's a lot of them.
everything, right? So sitting and, seeing how my grandmother dealt with her friends and seeing how she had friendships until they died. I said, my grandparents have maintained friendships until death. Do they part?
Wow.
I want that. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a grandmother over here that, demanded a certain level of love and respect and decided to, leave a husband in the early 1920s in Louisiana and come and start a life in Chicago. That's a lot of audacity, right? So I'm like, that's in my blood. And then she, builds a life and becomes the fifth family to integrate 99th and Morgan, right? And they turn into these like characters in everybody's life. Everybody got a story or a moment with my people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
You say that again.
both houses, Billy Dozier said, I'm the mixed breed of Morgan. Shout out to the Dozier family. And I love it. I love it. I do. So I feel privileged, and I got a lot of wisdom very early that comes back to me now.
Yeah.
That I've lived long enough to hear the lessons and kind of see what they meant.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm lucky.
I felt
foundation
so
was
much
strong.
love going into from both of your grandparents.
Yeah.
Going into Granny house. I think the first time she saw me, Rita.
Skinny Minnie.
Dizzy. Skinny. Why you skinny Minnie? I was that big.
You was about 5 pounds
that
lighter,
big.
6 pounds
But
lighter.
see, soon as I came in the house, that was the mood. You know what I'm saying? I was at home.
Yeah.
I can relax. She'll sit down and talk to me. And that's how we embrace each other. Hey, Skitty. Hey, Skitty.
Very welcoming. We're just hostesses.
Yeah. And then, but on the next door, Miss Jackson.
Whoo.
Especially to me,
Structure.
after you lost your big brother.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Structure,
Yeah.
discipline. I mean, it was maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Yeah, they was.
Get off that
strict.
corner.
Yes,
Kevin.
sir.
Yeah.
Am I telling the
Yeah.
truth, Kevin?
Yeah.
Get off that
Yeah.
corner. Get off that corner. She was such a protector of us. She did
Yeah.
not
Of
want
all
anything-
of us.
Of
All
us,
the kids on the
yeah.
block, man.
But
All
at
of
that
us.
time, we was like, man, we ain't doing nothing. We standing
Like,
on
Miss
the block.
Jackson, what's going on?
Now.
Man,
but as I got older, I'm
it's
like,
like, wow.
she was so worried about us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to think that, the position that they took was, I'm matriarch of a whole community, right? I remember when my grandmother petitioned for those speed bumps to be put in every alley. And it was because we wanted to play after school. And she hated that people getting on the expressway would cut through our neighborhoods, speeding.
Sure did.
And, she said, what you're not going to have is a murder, and then you hit one of my kids with a car. So how do I act from my house? And that's kind of what I mean about not giving you anything, but you going to get it. She didn't wait on an alderman. She went and met the alderman, so the alderman knew the Jacksons. She joined CAPS. So if you
I said your
understood
grandmother
what
started the
was-
neighborhood
Period.
watch.
It was
They
her.
started the
It was
neighborhood
my
watch,
grandmother.
man.
So that community piece, and then her granddaughter becomes a community psychologist. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are, trailblazers, and I'm just like, okay, none of it was in vain. I got it.
Yeah. That is awesome.
man.
We need. I enjoy growing up in a neighborhood where I knew who was in this house, who lived in this house. I can
Right.
come in and get a peanut butter jelly
That's
sandwich,
not
go use the
existing
bathroom
anymore.
there.
That's so far
Yeah.
gone now.
Yeah.
That is so
I
far
like
gone.
being able to
That's-
name the block. That's their house. That's
Yeah.
their house.
Yes.
And I know I can knock on that door.
Yeah.
Today.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, if I was walking down the street, hey, you okay?
Yeah.
White boy, get out that grass.
Oh, Miss Jackson didn't play it by his grass.
That's what I
Mr.
said.
Jackson did not play it by his grass.
Yeah.
You can hear him whistling from all. Man,
I
he
knew
never
not to
played
get
his
on that
radio
grass.
in his car. You would just hear him whistling from a block away, like Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
Doing
think-
step in his grass.
I think we have to, begin to be serious about cooperative economics and build these blocks in the way that we remember them, right?
Yes.
Because if you are, quote unquote, the lucky one or the one that, did the property thing first, and it's like, can you teach a few more people and then you become the community? Because I understand that my block was a box amongst a lot of stuff that was going on in that community. So to say 10 people or 10 families can't create a block or build a compound is not unrealistic in the world that we live in. So we just got to dream different.
Yeah,
and push
definitely.
what's now.
Definitely. And they really need, these kids need to dream differently like no other now.
We need to go
So,
back and talk to them. Sometimes we get so far removed that,
Yeah.
you know, some people don't even visit. And I said, I don't know a school.
But
in the
man,
city
will they
that
listen
won't
though?
Watch you.
You think they would
always,
listen?
I mean, that's why I have a partnership with CPS. They
Okay.
always listen to me. I love
Okay.
showing up for them.
Okay. Okay.
We
Okay.
got
They
some
can
good
feel
students
you.
at CPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just staying on that neighborhood thing for a minute, I kind of, you know, slip. What's the DMX? Slip, father. Start thinking
Can't
about
get
your
up.
brother.
Yeah.
You know,
Ken.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
lost his life right on that
Same
block.
block.
Was you out there that night?
No, man.
I was
at
out
school.
there. I had just left.
You was out there?
I had just left. I had just left. Cause when it was happening, I was standing in Pam's doorway on 100
Oh, you was
in
on-
Morgan.
oh,
I had just left
okay.
him.
I thought you was
Because-
standing out there with
No,
them.
I had literally just left
Oh.
because he was trying to get me to try some Alizé. Alizé had just came out. Him and Twan was out there drinking
Okay.
Alizé. And he kept telling me, man, try this. Like, man, because I didn't drink.
Yeah.
I didn't drink, but
Wow.
yeah,
I
it
didn't
was.
know- I
it
didn't
was,
know that, man.
Yeah, man, I
think
seen them two critters running down the street, man. It was, and he was, and Kevin was pulling up at the time.
I thought Kevin, he was sitting in the car. You was pulling up?
He was pulling up. He was parking in.
Oh.
Yeah, he was walking in. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
How did that touch you? Because you was how old
Yeah,
were
how
you?
old- yeah, how old was you?
8, yeah. And Ken was 21?
One.
21. Okay.
Yeah.
It was 92, August 8th. And, you know, my mom had just got married and we had moved to 126 in Emerald.
Okay.
So we got a call, you know, and you can feel it all through her. We're very connected. And I'm just like,
Y'all got a
we
call?
got a call. We got a call from Morgan. I think it was my cousin Yolanda. I'm not sure. But we pulled up, and it was just very much a scene that made me feel like I was in a movie. You know, you see
Unreal.
it, you hear about it, you know, the movies are out about it, but it came to our front door, you know, in a very real way. And for me, it made me begin to watch my choices because I saw consequence very early. So to see so much early, and we have the language now, and you know, be traumatized by things, you have a choice on what you're going to do with the trauma, right? So I'm clear that this is a consequence of something. So we can do the blame game.
You doing this at 8 years old, or you
I'm
thinking like this?
I'm
at,
thinking like
older?
this older, but you don't go through a therapeutic process without them taking you back.
Okay.
So I'm processing death in an erratic and extremely violent way. So things are not a movie to me anymore. This is nonfiction. So I'm not 8 anymore. So there's no rated R movies for me. So people would ask my mother when Set It Off came out and Bad Boys came out, like, you taking her to watch that? And she's like, we're there. Yes, we're there,
Right.
and we can have these conversations.
Right.
They got on there for taking me to see Waiting to Exhale. How? I need to have these conversations. My mother didn't talk to me like she had a bunch of time. She talked to me like we was talking right now. So I could use it. You don't know when I'm going to need it.
Yeah.
You know, we give things timelines, but I would say at 8, that trauma was like, okay, how did this happen? And here come all the questions. I become a researcher of my own family. You know, I want to understand addiction and how, you know, I'm dealing with that with my father, with my uncles, and now I want to know, okay, so the war on drugs, that's my house. That's next door.
Yeah.
Return from Vietnam stories, I'm reading. No, that's us. They right here. You know. So it just makes you look at things directly. That's what my brother's murder in a nutshell did to me. Cause and effect, choices and plans, or the lack thereof.
Yeah, it was
On top of stuff you can't control.
Yeah, that was a really
It
tough,
shifted
hard night. You know that you know, because I still remember he had a blue and gray Nike jogging top on.
Yeah.
You know. Yep.
What'd you say?
Detroit
Detroit
Lions.
Lions.
It was blue and gray.
Yep.
And it was,
Yeah.
man, that was
We
just
were so young. That was
yeah.
a lot, man.
Yeah.
I really think that hurt Antoine too. And I'm
Oh,
glad
it
you
man,
went to
it
go see him. I think, you know,
that
he
really hurt.
couldn't-
He never was the same after
Yeah,
that.
I think
He
that hurt
never
him.
was the same
I
after
think
that.
that's a collective. We were never the same
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like there's
I
no
agree.
individual pullout. Everybody has what they have from that night that we all spent together.
Yeah.
It just so happens that I'm the youngest, right? So if the story gets told and a little girl with curly hair running up the street is in it, y'all like, that's Rita. And I think the visual is what would throw people off. Like, no, I was that little. It was that early in the morning. And yes, I was standing on the porch because nothing was covered up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes, I asked my cousin still to be sure, like, is he dead? And the concept of what that did to the block.
I never heard that.
Yeah. You know, so it's understanding what it did to my mother's marriage, what it did to my family, and how it seeped through the community. It makes me understand how to quantify one kill.
Yeah. The massive destruction it has amongst a mass of people who you have no idea touched.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that's so sad.
Yeah.
The part that's awesome is that you made it through that. You went to Western Illinois.
Yeah.
You became part of the Divine Nine.
I did.
You know what it is. The coldest sorority it is out there.
Alpha, Kappa Alpha,
AKA,
Sorority
shout out to our
Incorporated.
sisters, you know
Shout
it.
out to Zeta Iota Chapter and Phi Epsilon Omega.
There we go.
You Alpha, right?
Yeah, I'm an Alpha.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes,
First fam situation.
Yes, so joining that Divine Nine, going into college, how did that help the transition from you, or did it? What was it like?
I think the challenge was I was way older than a freshman in college. You know, when I think about that's 8 years old, and then, you know, I have a cousin that's murdered shortly after that from domestic abuse. So now I look at relationships and like intense love differently. My cousin Kelly was stabbed to death by a boyfriend. And then we move on and we have, you know, Twan's situation and Marcus, you know, my brother's uncle pulled away. And I'm like, it's just boom, 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 boom. Oh, welcome to college. It's like, so, okay, how do I not intimidate everyone because I'm such a presence, because that's where I'm from? How do I, you know, try to make some things that I know small, or some things that get you all hyped don't really get me hyped? Like, I you know, was laughing with my husband the other day. I was like, I had my first shot of Hennessy with my sister Ivy. Rest in peace.
Man.
When I was
rest well, Queen.
Yeah. I was, you know, 16, and my mama allowed her to give me a shot, and it burned the shit out of me. And I never drank again until I got to college in freshman year. When I met, you know, my now husband, I gave myself like alcohol poisoning, and he called 911 because I, you know, but it was because I saw what alcoholism looked like for real.
Yes.
So I'm in undergrad watching people party, but I can hear my daddy when he's at his worst. You know, I can see my aunt and how, you know, violent she might have become. Like, I saw what alcohol did to people. So I was a little scared of it. Drugs, not high school, not college. My friends would tell me they can't believe I'd do anything because they like you never was with it. I was like, the DARE program was in my house. You know, I understood what it looked like, so I'm good. You know, so my Scared Straight program,
it was right in front of you. You grew up right scared. So, you literally grew up scared straight.
Everything I loved and everything I was scared of was right there. So I get to college, and I'm like, I got to join a pack. You know, I understand in this country, you know, a lone black female, it's like, how far can you get, truly, if you understand the game? So if you're reading about the historical influence of that organization, you understand that's the pack if you can keep up. Because they run fast, they run first, they spend more, they stay longer, and they want to do it with a lash and a liner. Wow. Right? Wow. And they want to be a wife, and they want to be a mother. It's like, and you can do it all. But when I look at like the history of the founders, I'm like, they're going down with their own money, donating to sharecroppers and they undergrads. How are you even an undergrad in 1908 when it's 100 college students, period? Yeah. 20 of them founded my organization. I don't know what the other 80 was doing. But that's the pack I want to follow. Okay. So what I got to do to get in? With this attitude and this personality. So
Right.
they had some work to do, and they did good.
Well, you doing a damn good job.
They
You
did
doing a
good.
damn good job,
I-
sister.
I'm
I
sure you
love
got
that
some daughters in the
network.
AKA sorority. I'm sure
Yeah,
you,
yeah, they strong out here.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I get a lot of
Yeah.
sorority love. I love being active, and it's always a pleasure to serve.
Yeah,
that's
definitely,
dope.
definitely. Shout out to AKA.
Shout
definitely,
out to AK.
definitely,
I said when I
definitely.
turn 40, I'm gonna learn how to ski wee. I cannot. So sorry if that was the expectation.
All right, definitely.
I'm thinking she talking about what the girls, the
I don't
little
even
rap
need her.
chick.
Don't bring her to my show. Nope.
That's what I thought you was.
We
That's
not
y'all
give our
thing.
mess. If we can find some precedents.
Uh,
Yeah, we don't like it. I think I
okay,
speak for
I can believe that. I can believe that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I said, mm-mm.
I want to go to the sex part.
So
Uh-oh.
we know we done with philanthropies if we on the sex part. The sex
Yeah.
part ain't for free. It's not a volunteer situation.
Wait a minute. What is it? What is it? It's you're a intimacy
Intimacy
coach.
So by definition, all of my research as a psychologist is on how Black women communicate about sex. And that includes reproductive health, cancer awareness, gender identity, fluidity, anything that falls under human sexuality. But what we don't understand is it's different to be a Black female human in sexuality. And when I got into my PhD program, I was clear that my literature review would be nil because you didn't ask my grandmother these questions in your research. When I studied Masters and Johnson and everything they did with sex work and Kinsey and everything he did with orgasms, you did not ask anybody who's a part of my bloodline. So it's time to start asking the right questions because we have been breeding for you. We have been birthing a nation for you, for sure. But we have not got still enough and quiet enough to understand how much pleasure we're supposed to get, how much work we're not supposed to have to do, how much our body is supposed to belong to us, how many questions we're not supposed to have to answer, how many times we are supposed to be able to have orgasms scientifically and spiritually, but nobody cared to ask us anything. So my idea of researching us is to get us to ask each other the questions and teach our daughters how to ask the questions so we can advocate for ourselves and be better wives for you.
At what age?
I start at 15. And actually, I'm lying. That component starts at 15, but the nonprofit piece with Pretty touches on them understanding body positivity, and we start in 6th grade. So they're having mirror exercises, understanding what their body looks like, and I'm talking to them how I'm talking to you, like understand that America don't care. You got to have a plan, and your relationship status can shift all these educational components. Like college look good until you in love and you want to stay here with this nigga. We got to convince you that you need to pick you. So we got to start getting in front of it and telling our kids the truth.
Wow.
Man, did you hear this woman?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, damn.
Yeah.
6th grade though? Like,
Sixth
do you
grade.
have like how are the parents? Do most of their parents? Because I'm sure you get some
So
type
we
of
get consent. The
Do
part-
most parents consent, or
Yeah.
do some people like?
So
oh,
I
that's
do.
too
I did
early.
early on. So Pretty is the nonprofit that goes into Chicago public schools, and we have that partnership. That's the work that we're doing in Jamaica, where we work specifically with young girls before we got to catch up with what they already did. So we do have consent. We do the open houses. We do professional developments and all of that. But we've developed relationships where the students asking for me back. So, shout out to Daya High School. They reached out and said, you're one of the partners that they like, but did you get Pretty back? Because we having conversations, but the parents that say no, it always makes me feel away. I will say that because it takes a village. And if you're uncomfortable, allow those of us that are to give them the tools they need to defend themselves.
Because they need it.
Because you
need
got to
it.
get in front of a pedophile. We can't talk about
Right.
rape if we can't talk about sex.
Right.
So what are you
Right.
protecting them from? Your shame? You don't know what to say?
And I would think it would be different because the way these kids is so much advanced now,
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good
they
point.
way more advanced
But
now.
Got
they're-
everything on the cell phone.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
on the internet.
Yeah.
Shit. Them Instagram and OnlyFans.
Yeah, we have a lot of barriers. Like there's no way to do this research without talking about religious barriers,
Okay.
without talking about cultural barriers that still put the blanket of shame, over the whole topic, right? So we think that we have evolved, and then Meg and Cardi come out with WAP, and they get dragged by more black women than anybody else, right? So it's like, are we advancing, or do you want us to stay in the ladylike box where we're kind of told what to do? It's like, who do you want us to be? Are we trying to be free or not?
And I definitely appreciate what Meg and whoever else you said, how
Cardi
they
B. Cardi B.
Yeah.
But I hear the narrative is that sometimes it's too much. That
It is.
So can it be
It
too
is.
much?
And it's interesting. I was just on another show, and they asked about the saturation in music and, what does it do? And I said, well, entertainment is just for that. Like, it's on your family and it's on your village to kind of direct you to know how to be able to balance it out. Like, we can't put you in a watered down world, right? So if you're being entertained, whether it was me wanting to come in a Tupac when my mother just didn't understand why I wanted to hear, like, what are you going through that you're just screaming Tupac lyrics? Like, how hard is your life? Like, and he just spoke to me. So when I think about the City Girls and Glorilla and, many of the voices of free sex, I'm thinking that they're screaming for generations of, like, silence. Like, we're just now in a generation where we're allowed to talk like this, because this is a world where your husband could commit you into an asylum for being disrespectful. Like, you needed your husband to sign off for you to get a bank account. Like, marital rape just became illegal in my lifetime, right? So it's one of the things where we are just now getting to the first time of things. So I'm appreciating them demanding orgasms and talking about getting their money, because wealth does free you from some bad decisions. And if you build it up now, when we see them when they're 50, it'll be like, oh, you remember how the City Girls used to be while they, running an oil company or something. So I'm like, I appreciate the freedom, and especially if they have a plan.
Well, damn, you just educated me on that, because I never looked at it like that. I can't understand their music. Just give me a headache half the time. So that's dope. The way you broke it down and explained it, shit, you make me appreciate them.
I try not to judge before I ask the right questions. Wow.
Right.
And if it's a documentary that comes out about them, if it's something that comes out, I'm like, I want to learn about you. I don't have to be a fan of your music, but what I won't be is like the previous generation who didn't take the time to understand Tupac's history. Do you know his mama was a Panther? Do you know this? And I'm trying to explain it, and all they hear is whatever they felt they hated about hip hop.
Right. Right.
Not understanding what Little Kim was doing for the movement and what she was going through to pioneer it, and just judging her because she decided to do a hardcore cover. It's like, bro, Playboy was in Chicago. Cut it out.
Okay.
Come on. No. Yeah, Hugh Hefner here.
You
Born and
know,
raised
Yeah,
Chicago.
you know
He
what I'm
went
saying?
off.
Born and
He
raised
went
Chicago.
off.
Man,
Okay.
that is really somehow you break it down, though, Rita. That is really something. That's some, man.
Keep
that's
following
some
your
unique
passion.
shit, man.
Thank
Keep
you.
following
That's
that
the
passion.
goal,
Yeah.
to get it out,
Yeah.
to get it out,
Yeah.
to get it out.
Man. you
So,
one
talk
dope
about
ass
that, though. You're on Daddy's podcast, right?
Yeah.
So, on this sex topic, I got a question.
I hope I got an answer.
Daddy's podcast, I hear like women say, yes, daddy, or, in any type of situations, yes, daddy,
Yeah.
yeah, daddy. What makes a
It drives
woman...
y'all nuts.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
ahead.
just telling the truth. What makes a woman look at a man and say, you know what, I'm going to call you daddy? Is it just words that they use just to make us feel good? Or
Stroke
does that
our
come
ego,
from somewhere?
and,
Like,
you know,
what makes a woman
I
say
mean, I
that?
think we have the option for word choice if we're being playful, which is always fun. Like, we can say whatever if it, sets the tone for what we're doing. But if it's true, it's oddly enough, Monique answered this question a couple weeks back. I think she was sitting with Charlamagne, and I said, okay, that's kind of how I feel. But I was asked the question a few years back, and I said, well, I think about how far did my dad get me with where he was in life. How far did my brothers get me with where they were in life? If I decide to date somebody in a different class system, because we all in them, what do I have to learn?
When you say class, what you mean, like economic class?
Economic
social?
class.
Okay, all right.
Maybe they were, from a black Greek family already, so they were in some black elitist groups already.
All right.
Maybe they were just from a different spot than me. They were not 99th and Morgan, right?
Okay.
Their families were not 99th and Morgan. So we have two cultures that have to blend, and some of my ways were absolutely ignorant. Some of my ways were absolutely wrong. some of my ways absolutely clashed with any type of success I ever could have planned to reach. So I needed to continue to be raised. So I want you to continue to raise me, challenging my thinking, challenging my habits, challenging my eating, challenging my religion, challenging, how I deal with my father, how I deal with my mother. You're challenging everything about me because that's how much you love me, because you chose me.
So we accept the word of being called daddy from a woman. That's a lot for a man.
That's
to really,
as
that's
heavy.
a
Because,
lot.
and you provide it
because most people I think of it like sexually type.
No.
But when
way,
it,
the
but
way
when
you
it
broke it down,
goes
that's
there,
a lot.
but if you teaching me,
yeah.
that includes sex. If we talking and you showing me things, so now wait a minute, you raising me on all these levels, and you doing different things to my body, and we trying different things, and you making me feel vulnerable, and you making me feel safe, on top of, blocking for me when I'm into it with that relative that I always been into it, but when I got you here, that argument different. When he's with me, you move different about me. That's my daddy. That's my protection.
Yeah.
So when I say it, if we having sex, it's gonna fuck you completely up because you know why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's real. That's real.
So
I heard that.
Who is this woman?
Shout out, listen. Shout out to my daddy.
Definitely.
Man.
I'm gonna let y'all have that. I ain't gonna get it. That's y'all. My man. Yes,
He would both drink to that.
He toasted his cup to that one. He back there chest out like, man.
But Greg, to your point,
I'm
it's a
about
lot
to
of
drink
work.
to
Me too, man. 'Cause this woman here, boy, has come on this podcast and let it ride, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, you taught us a
Thank
lot,
you.
Rita.
Man.
You taught us everything from how to come together as a community to get money in the black community. You talked about writing books.
Yeah.
Talk to us about college, about the streets of Chicago.
Yeah, I want us to have
sex.
ball. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate that.
I look at you in a
appreciate
different perspective because I didn't know that you was this much advanced
Yeah, I
in
appreciate
your
that.
thoughts,
Yeah.
in your process. So I have a different respect for you.
Thank you.
Just real talk, G.
I
Just,
appreciate that.
I've been knowing you forever.
That's when it's legit.
but
When you get the real talk, you get the end.
just real talk, I'm so glad you came on here because I know you educated me, man.
I love
Today
that. I
you
think
put it
that's-
down,
that's
sister.
good. That's the
You put it
purpose.
down, sister.
Yeah.
I knew you was gonna bring it.
Thank you.
I knew you was gonna bring it.
She
I
bought
already
it.
knew you was gonna
bought
bring
it.
it. I knew it. That's why I reached out to you.
Look, I'm scared to have a
Actually,
husband on here.
we was in the Ivy house.
We were.
And you was
Shout out
like,
again,
man,
sis.
Greg,
I'm like, you want to bite me on?
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh, that's how it went.
Yeah,
Okay,
we sitting there
okay,
at the
okay.
house, chilling
okay.
with the family.
Yep.
Shout
That's
out
dope,
little
man.
kid.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm glad you, man. I am so glad that you came
Amen.
on
Thank you.
and just educated. Man, your voice speaks volumes, sister.
I appreciate that.
It speaks volumes, man. We need a whole lot more like
That,
that.
I mean, that's the goal. Coming up next year, we're doing a lot of fundraising because my company is starting a camp
That's
for
dope.
Black girl culture.
That's dope, man.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
Well,
dope.
nobody can be just like her, but they can be just as good. I know you want them to be better. That's
Man,
we
you
always
know what
want
I'm
better.
saying? You know.
Any final thoughts or messages you want to leave
I really,
to the audience?
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that the overarching theme is, don't limit your dreaming, and don't limit yourself to whatever the box is, because that one purpose leads to so many more. So some people try to force themselves to find like the big dream. You got one thing that's just your God-given gift. And then it'll spark this and it'll spark that, and you'll meet that person and this person, because it's all you're talking about. When you're hanging out with people, then you're telling the universe to bring those things to you. So the earlier you allow your kids to create their own vision and create their own thinking and not be like copies of you, just little human beings that you're kind of directing and giving them more freedom of thought, putting them in more activities, showing them things, they will return to their village. Because I didn't get these degrees and go to Silicon Valley. I didn't go, down to a big HBCU, even though I want an honorary doctorate from Grambling University. Shout out to my partner. But I am,
Hey, let 'em
but
know, definitely.
it come back,
Yeah.
come back and do the work that
Yes.
built you. Like don't go to your mountain and like leave these babies out, because
Man.
it's we are the change we want to see. And I think it's easier to blame outside entities when it's like, have you walked in your local community school and said, let me buy lunch today?
Yeah.
No, but you complain about the food.
Damn.
Just
Thank
do
you.
something. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
It's Hareder
Man.
McDowell. Thank you.
Miss
Thank you for
Hareder
coming up. We
McDowell,
have a
baby.
woman to come on Daddy's podcast.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Man.
Absolutely.
This woman
Peace.
flat out killed it, man.
Yes, she did.